Hey guys, MCU Collector here with a new video, and this is a 2-for-1 video. Here we have the Mezco Toyz 112 Collective Series Daredevil, both the regular version, which is the red and black suit, and the MDX or Mezco Direct exclusive that was, what was he actually exclusive to? I can't think about what. I guess he was just an exclusive. You know, I guess maybe Mezco doesn't do like con exclusives anymore. Now they just actually do just exclusives for their own. I thought they always kind of coincided with some kind of convention or something, but maybe I'm wrong on that. But because I don't think he's been released any other way. So the Mezco Vigilante Edition, the Mezco exclusive Daredevil, and you can see that these are good-looking figures. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I'm a little disappointed in both of these guys because of the suits that they're wearing and just kind of how they were done. There's some good things for sure, but you know they're just okay. Are they worth the money that I paid for them, the retail price? Sure, why not? But you know, it's only because at this point now I'm all in on the Mezco 112 MCU figures, so you know this isn't one that I was gonna pass, but I could see that it could be a very easy pass for a lot of folks. Definitely the regular version is definitely a lot better than the Vigilante edition, but that's that's how it goes with exclusives. Sometimes you want to get it because it's an exclusive, there's no other way to get it, that kind of thing. But because I'm an MCU completist now, I have to have it. Just okay figures. Accessories are good, and we'll kind of go over that. First, let's get in a closer look at the actual figures themselves. Okay, so just up close seeing them side by side, the head sculpts are good. The details on them are good. Now, for me, personally, I just don't see Charlie Cox in these head sculpts. Now, I know the bigger problem is you can't see his face anyway because he's wearing a mask, but the lower jaw or the lower half of his face, I just don't necessarily see the likeness, and that's probably a very nitpicky thing on a figure like this, but for whatever reason, I just don't see it, just like I didn't really see it in the Marvel Legends version. But even the unmasked head wasn't great. It was just okay. But the head sculpts do look pretty good. It's just the actual face of them that I don't like. But I love the sculpted detail of the red and black suit. The mask came out looking really, really good. So I do like that. That is awesome with the red eyes and everything. Now again, their head sculpts are one thing that I really praise Mezco on. So for this to not even, in my opinion, resemble Charlie Cox in any way, that's kind of a letdown for me personally. But again, it's not like you could see his whole face anyway, but still. And then here, I don't really see it either. I don't know how much of an effort actually Mezco went in to try and get a Charlie Cox his likeness. Maybe they didn't even put any effort because again, it's only half of his face. Either way, at the end of the day, it's not that big of a deal. What I do like is that they kind of did the 5 o'clock shadow a little bit. I know it's hard to actually tell on video, but you can actually see along his face it's actually a little bit darker to show kind of where facial hair is kind of grown. I think they could have done it a little bit more because as he's kind of fighting through and stuff, he has his beard, the facial hair is growing out a little bit more than that. Now, one thing that's kind of tricky with this guy, and actually not with the red and black, but this guy, which is weird, is that there's no head to neck pivot. It's all one piece. Usually with the Mezco Toyz, the head is actually a separate piece from the neck, but on this guy, it's the one piece. So, his head itself isn't turned. You have to turn the entire neck. Now, I think there's a couple of reasons for that. He's blind, so it's not like he needs to turn his face to specifically look in that direction of whoever it is that he's trying to look at. So I guess you can kind of get away with it in that aspect. Now, looking at the suit, the shirt, I really like it. I'm glad that we have the red lines because he did have that kind of before. He had the suit made by, what's his name? I can't think of his name right now. One thing that strikes me as odd, and it's because I don't remember this from the TV show at all, is the lower arms. Like, why did we go from this cloth to this pleather material for the forearms? Now, there must be a reason for it. Maybe it was that way in the show and it was just too hard to tell because, the shows are kind of dark. He's wearing an all-black suit. Maybe it doesn't come across that way. So I just think it's odd. And then especially because you look at the back of the forearm, you can actually see that there's some sculpted kind of dots in there. So there's texture to it. So it must be something from the show. I can't imagine Mezco just randomly doing something like this. So it has to be in there. So that's pretty cool. So I have to look at that. The belt came out looking really good actually on this figure. One complaint that I do have is that the pants, they just look a little too baggy for me, which is tough because this is kind of what I think of old Mezco. That you know, as good as they are with the soft goods, they were kind of baggy and a little bit bigger. You know, the tailored stuff lately has all been pretty good, whereas these pants actually just seem a little too baggy to me, and that's probably, again, a very nitpicky thing, but that's just me. We actually get a zipper here because in the show there was a zipper there, so it's nice that they just kind of added that in there. At first I was like, what is that white line? But then if you look really closely, you can see that there's actually a zipper right at the end of it. So that's actually pretty cool. He's got the little holster here to hold his batons, which I'll show you when I go through the accessories. And then there's the boots, which look really good. The great sculpting detail on the boots. Looking at the red and black suit, again, so the head sculpt itself, I really like. The suit is okay. Now, the bottom half of him, I feel, is just a little too baggy. And then the black padding on top, it looks a little bit bulky too. It's just, it doesn't, I don't know, it's not terrible, but it's not great. It's just okay, in my opinion. Now, what they did with it is pretty awesome because of all the actual detail that they put into it to really give it that realistic look like it was from the show. You have to give kudos to Mezco for doing that, but just for me, I guess the bagginess of it just doesn't really work out, in my opinion. That's just me, though. And then, you know, we get the seam right in front. You know, I was just talking about with the Spider-Man figure how the seam is nice and hidden. It's right in front on this Daredevil figure, so it's kind of in your face. Can't miss it. Now, the shoulders are one thing, and I see why Mezco did this, and I don't mind it so much. It just comes out looking a little weird because they're separate pieces. So you actually have, it looks like this chest piece is just another layer on top. Now, I don't know the specific reason, but maybe that's because it allows us to get some good motion in the shoulder inside of there. But you could see that it is a whole separate piece on top of there. Now, the tricky thing, what that does is you could clearly see that it's two separate pieces, whereas in the show, you know, the suit wouldn't have had the separation here at the shoulder. It would have been one full body suit. So that's just the only tricky thing. Again, it's, you know, that's not completely film accurate or TV accurate, but it looks good, and I think they did it for functionality purposes, so it works out quite well. Then here we have the holster for the batons, which I'll show a little bit later. And then here we have the boots, which I believe they're the same boots. They are the same boots, just the red and black suit. They're a little bit shinier, but really cool. Now let's take a look at the accessories. Okay, so with all Mezco Direct exclusive, the packaging and everything is a little bit smaller, but it all kind of has the same stuff. So on the Mezco Direct exclusive, the Vigilante edition, so the batons that he comes with are actually very, very plain. They're just a standard little wood dowel baton, although they put a lot of scratches and stuff in it. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get that. There's no way I'm going to get that detail. Maybe you could see it a little bit, but there's all kinds of scratched up markings and everything on these batons to really show that, you know, he's put them to good use. So that's really cool, although they are still, again, just wooden sticks. And they really do feel like wood. Maybe they're not. It's hard to tell. But nice little effort there. Now, the figure itself comes with two fisted hands already on the figure. In addition to that, he has an additional set of open hands, holding hands, so he can hold the batons, and then he kind of has these open hands here for the right and the left. He also comes with an additional head sculpt, which I myself haven't actually looked at in close detail yet, so here it is. It's basically just kind of a battle damage, so, you know, he's showing a little bit of teeth, but he's got some blood coming down to where his eye socket would be. He's bleeding from his mouth and bleeding from his nose, and it's okay, nothing special there. You know, but it's a nice little touch. You know, this isn't something that you would really get with Marvel Legends, so pretty cool to get that. And then, you know, of course, comes with the stand. You can see the Daredevil Netflix logo there, and then you also get a little accessory bag, Ziploc bag, to hold all the accessories, but I just leave them all in the package there. Now let's look at the regular release. Okay, so for the regular release, again, the packaging is a little bit larger. It's black plastic, not the clear plastic. It comes with the batons, and now these are the new ones that one guy made, and help me out, what was that guy's name? I can't think of it. In the comic books, I think he was the Gladiator. Man, I can't think of his name. What is his name? But nice sculpted detail on these batons. They look really good. You can actually put them together, which is pretty cool. You can see they just port together like so. So that is pretty cool. Now the figure out of the package, he comes with fisted hands on both, and then he also comes with the same type of hands. They are different, of course, because these are sculpted with the sculpted gloves that he has, but two open hands to hold the batons, the holding hands, and then he's got the same type of open hands like so. And I really like the sculpted detail of the gloves on the hands. Came out looking pretty good. So like the Vigilante edition as well, there is a second head sculpt, and this looks pretty good. This is probably the one I'm going to use to display. He just kind of has some teeth showing, just kind of showing like, again, no facial hair really on this one. You can see they did a little bit of shading throughout the cheeks, I guess, to kind of show a little bit of facial hair. You can really see it on the chin. Doesn't come out great. I think, you know, a little bit more facial hair would have been better. But looks really good. There's nothing else much to the package. As you can see, we get the same exact Netflix Daredevil logo stand. And that's it for the accessories. Okay, I'm going to show you how to interchange the head on the Vigilante edition. You just pull it from the neck, since it is all one piece, pops off pretty easily, and then you could just kind of pop the new one on while being careful of the bandana in the back. As you can see, I got it going in the back of the shirt, so that I'm worried that may damage the bandana itself and put some stress on the plastic, because it is just connected. A little thin piece of plastic in there, and then it goes on like so. So, you know what, I may actually display this figure like that also, because, you know, most of the time when he's wearing the Vigilante suit, he kind of looks pretty messed up throughout it anyway. So I think I will use this head sculpt. It does look pretty good. Now, looking at the red and black suit, here's the regular one out of the package. And again, the detail of the helmet is awesome. It's just the face part is a little lackluster, in my opinion. To change that out, you just pop it off, and that came off extremely easy. Wow. And then we can just pop this gridding one on there. Okay, yeah, I think I'll display it with this one. That looks pretty good. I like the way that came out. And let's see if you could see how that facial hair looks. If you could see that in his chin, it's a little bit darker because, you know, supposedly there's a little bit of facial hair in there. Let's take a look at the articulation of these guys. Okay, and just for fun, I'm curious to see if this would work or not. And I don't know if anybody's tried it, but here's the Marvel Legends Comic-Con 2018 exclusive Defenders box set. Charlie Cox or Matt Murdock head sculpt. You know, here's the Marvel Legends helmeted version. You can see there is a huge difference between the two. Whereas, funny enough, that there's actually seems to be more sculpted detail on the Marvel Legends now that I see them side by side. However, I think Mezco did a better job in making it look better. His face is very wide on this, but I think that actually is how it looked in the show, because again, it's a helmet on a normal size head, whereas this helmet would be extremely thin. Yeah, look at that, actually sculpted detail. That's crazy. How did Hasbro put more in there? So there's also some big differences between the two. So, you know, I'd have to go back, if I can get this in focus. Focus. There it goes. As far as Season 1, Season 2, and some of the differences between the helmets, because, you know, Punisher damaged the helmet in Season 2 and he needed to get a new one. So I wonder if this one's maybe Season 1, whereas this is Season 2, or maybe this is Season 1, this is Season 2. We'd have to see. But I have no idea if this is going to work or not. But we're going to try it. So pop the head off of the Mezco Daredevil, pop the Matt Murdock head off of the Marvel Legends, and let's see if it works. And I can already tell you right now, it will probably just rest on there, and that's about it, because the peg won't fit. So the neck piece is just too big for this head sculpt. So it sits on there, but you can see it sits very, very high, and it's not secure on there at all. So I was kind of hopeful, but didn't work out. Sorry. You know, I guess while we're at it, seeing the side-by-side comparisons, one thing that you could see that there's some differences within the design of the suit, but one thing that I actually maybe is throwing me off with the black is there's no texture to this black. The black padding and pleather is all very smooth, where at least on the Marvel Legends, it has the same texture as the red, you know, just, you know, little different highlights and accents, you know, it all kind of fits in, whereas this one, because it's all on top of the cloth and then it's all smooth, it's just throwing me off with just not having a design. Again, it's not terrible, but it's not the greatest. And then again, just a little bit of design differences, whereas here, like on the Marvel Legends, you can see that black isn't a straight line all the way down, whereas on the Mezco figure it is. But I'm sure that's probably because ease of doing the suit, whereas if you were to do this, it would make it a little bit trickier probably. Looking at the back of the figure, it's pretty similar, so nothing really going on there, except these black lines going all the way up the leg, whereas Marvel Legends version does not have that. So, pretty interesting seeing them side by side. Gloves are different. Mezco did a way better job with the gloves because they actually have red painted on them and stuff. The gauntlet pieces are much different, so there's actual some sculpting lines here on the Marvel Legends, whereas on the Mezco it's all just kind of a smooth piece. This doesn't bother me. I think these arms look better on the Mezco figure because those gloves, those hands that he comes with are just pretty awesome looking. So there they are. Now let's look at the articulation of the two Mezco figures. Okay, we'll start with the Vigilante Edition Daredevil. So his head, he can look down that much, again, because you're moving the entire neck, not going up a whole lot because that bandana right there is really going to kind of hinder some of the articulation getting there, and then it's going to look wonky with that neck joint the way it is. But you have some pivot in there, and again, it's moving the entire neck that does it. As far as the arm articulation, you can get the shoulders up that high, which is good. You can't get a full rotation, of course, because you got the clothing to think about. There is no upper thigh cut, but you have a swivel at the elbow. I'm going to be careful with some of these, you know, Mezco figures. You're going to get only a single jointed elbow in there. Yeah, and I don't want to force it too much. It's just about a 90-degree. Wrists swivel, and they do hinge. And then to switch them out, you could just pop them off, and there's a tiny peg, so be very careful when switching out hands on your Mezco figures. As far as the torso, I'm not getting a whole lot in there. So there's a diaphragm joint there, so you get pivot and swivel motion in there. You can crunch back only slightly, not a whole lot at all. Very, very little forward as well. Some pivot to the side, but you really have to work that diaphragm joint to get that to work. There is a waist swivel in there as well, so you can get good movement that way. Legs are pretty limited. These batons kind of get in the way if you have them in there, but you can get the legs out that far apart. It's not terrible, but it's also not great. Leg can only kick forward that much, not a whole lot. Moves back actually quite a bit, whereas, you know, in Marvel Legends we would never even get that. There is an upper thigh cut way up here at the pelvis region, the hip joint. You get a double jointed knee, which works out great. No real boot swivel or anything. Oh, look at that pant seems to kind of be coming out. You want to be careful with that. You get an ankle pivot in there. You kind of have to work. It's not the greatest. It's not like a Marvel Legends pivot, but there's a little pivot and a little tiny hinge, so you could see the motion. It's not a whole lot, but it's there. So that's the Daredevil Vigilante Edition. Looking at the red and black regular release, so the head can go side to side. Again, the head is on a separate joint from the neck, so you get more motion in there. He can look up, can look down somewhat. You get a lot of pivot in there because that head can move on that neck joint pretty good, and then you can get the neck to move a little bit as well. Shoulders can go up that high, and there's great movement in there again because the suit piece is how that, you know, how that really works out. It looks like there's a butterfly joint in there as well, so that's pretty cool. Did this guy not have that? He did not. So not the same body underneath the suits on these guys. is an upper bicep swivel on him. Feels like there is a double jointed elbow in there, but you want to be careful. The suit, how it's folding in, you're not going to get much of a bend, even though the double joint is in there. Still only really looking at a 90-degree, maybe slightly more. The wrist swivel and the hinge, it's on a ball joint. Again, very small peg. You want to be very careful when switching out these hands. The torso piece feels like it's on the same torso, so you're only going to get forward motion so much. Not a whole lot of back at all. You get some pivot to the side. Man, you really have to work that joint in there. You get the waist swivel there. These legs are going to come apart only that much. Leg move goes forward that much, and then this really kind of gets in the way, kind of how baggy it is and stuff. Going back, not a whole lot. There is an upper thigh cut up in that hip joint there. A double jointed elbow, knee that gives you that much. I always get knees and elbows. You got a lot of you guys pointed out to me on my last video. The foot is going to hinge down, hinge up slightly, and there is a little bit of pivot in there, not a whole lot. So that is the articulation. Okay, so that was my review on the two Mezco 112 Collective Daredevil Netflix figures. So these are not the only MCU Netflix series TV show figures that are coming. We're also going to be getting the Punisher, and that's probably going to be it for Netflix Marvel figures in any way, shape, or form, since all the shows have been canceled. So one thing I think that this figure is really going to suffer from is because it's been just so long for it to have released. So Mezco tends to have a lot of delays and things. So anytime they announce a figure, you're looking at 1 to 2 years out almost, depending on the figure. So for this figure, unfortunately, it's going to boil down to a timing issue where it's probably going to hurt it the most. Are they fantastic figures? Not really. Are they good figures? Definitely. Are they great? That's going to be on your personal opinion. I think they are really good figures, and I am happy and pleased to add them into my collection. Not only because I'm a completist when it comes to the Mezco MCU, but for movie figures in general, I'm very happy with getting, because I think they are just pretty awesome. So there it is. If you guys let me know down in the comments below what you guys think of these figures. Are you going to get them? Have you gotten them? What are your thoughts? Let me know down below. Any questions or comments also down below. Hit that thumbs up if you guys liked the video. Subscribe if you haven't already done so. And as always, guys, thank you for watching.